morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to be taking a look at the Japanese rotation. You see, over here, outside of Japan, we rotated from Sun and Moon on to Ultra Prism on, and we did that, well, right as the World Championships were starting. Japan didn't. But over the weekend, Japan announced their rotation, and it's a little bit weird. Now, there is a bit of a conspiracy theory going on here. Now, over in Japan, they've actually got little symbols, little letters, in the corner of their cards ranging from A to D. And we're getting them now as well. If we take a look at some of the Sun and Moon cards, we can see we're getting these symbols like Japan. It seems very, very much like we are gearing up for a worldwide rotation and a worldwide format, the likes of which we've not really seen. This also adds a lot more credence to my we're going to be getting all but simultaneous releases theory. Now, it won't be exactly simultaneous. It will be Japan gets a main set, and then on the same day, we get the main set and the mini set. So we get the main set on the same day they get the mini set, but we get the mini set at the same time they do. All but worldwide releases. So that's kind of cool. But the thing is, Japan went and did something, well, it's led to a bit of confusion. You see, Lillie is an A block card. Lillie has an A. The thing is, we got a reprint of Lillie. Lillie came out in Sun and Moon. So it was an A card. It was one of the first cards. But then we got a reprint of Lillie in Ultra Prism. Problem is, when Japan got the reprint, they gave it an A symbol. All of Japan's reprints have the same symbol as the original artwork. So that's led to a little bit of a quirk whereby Lillie is rotated out of Japan. We still have Lillie, but Lillie has just gone and rotated in Japan because it was only ever printed with an A, and all the A's have rotated out. And this has led to a few of these such cards over in Japan. And I need to give a shout out to the lovely Antoine Boulet for sharing this information. So what we're going to be doing in this video, after we've given our little kind of intro and told you about the rotation and how it could be significant, is talking about the cards that Japan is losing that we're not. So even though we're going to have the same rotation as Japan, and incidentally Japan's rotation essentially puts them at Ultra Prism on, it's actually not exactly the same, because Japan is losing some cards that we're not. Now, Lillie might be the most significant of them. Lillie is still a staple in the majority of decks. It is one of the very best draw supporters we've got. Japan is still going to have Cynthia. Japan is still going to have, well, they're now going to have Professor Magnolia, but they're not actually going to have Lillie anymore. Which means the Japanese deck lists we see are going to be a little bit different because they're not going to be able to play Lillie. Now, as a side note, they're also losing How. I don't think we need to care about that very much. How is not a great card. It lets you draw free cards. I mean, in any fire deck, Welder lets you attach energy 1 or 2 and draw free cards. How is, almost hilariously underpowered, if I'm honest with you. So we're not going to get terribly upset about losing How. But maybe we're going to get a bit more upset about losing Lusamine. Lusamine's just been rotated out in Japan. But it's not over here. Now, Lusamine is banned in Expanded, but it's not banned in Standard. Now, it's less of an issue because Japan's losing Ace Roller like we've already lost Ace Roller. And we did see that the winning deck over in Japan this weekend in a very large tournament, I'll pop a link in the description to the video I made about that deck, really relied on Lucario and Melmetal. And what they would do is use Ace Roller, and they would recover it with this, or using Cynthia and Caitlyn. Well, that's not an option anymore. That's a little bit sad. Less of an issue now that Ace Roller is being rotated out, admittedly. But we've seen decks. I showed you a Poipo deck just yesterday. or a couple days ago, depending on when this gets uploaded, that use Jesse and James being reused with this. Now, you can still use Cynthia and Caitlin to reuse them, but it gives you fewer options. Now, they're also losing Lana. Lana's quite good for healing, but it's not perfect, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think we need to worry too much about losing Lana. It's a decent little healing supporter, but it's not going to break Japan's format that they no longer have it. And that's it in terms of supporters. They've got all the supporters we have except for Cynthia, Hao, Lana, and Lusamine. And the only really big issue there is Lillie. But what about in terms of item cards? Well, they're losing a few of those as well. And some of these are a little bit more significant. They're losing Crushing Hammer. Now again, we've kept Crushing Hammer because there was a secret rare print in Ultra Prism. And because it was in Ultra Prism, it wasn't printed as an alternate art card. It was just printed with an Ultra Prism set symbol and set number. Well, here, it's just rotating out. Japan are losing it, and they're not going to have Crushing Hammer anymore. And that could be kind of significant. If you want to play some kind of energy denial deck, that's pretty huge. They're losing Energy Recycler, which can be a nice option for getting your energy. I mean, we've still got things like Energy Recycle System, so it's not like they've got no options, but Energy Recycler's going away. They're also losing Peaking Red Card. Peaking Red Card, it's kind of a nice one. You get to look at your opponent's hand and maybe give them a new hand. It's fine. It's not really seen much play at all, if I'm honest with you. But you can give your opponent a new hand of the same size if you so wish. Now, they're also losing Energy Switch. An Energy Switch can be big. I mean, think about something like Tapu Koko Prism Star. You pop an energy onto each of 2 benched Pokemon, and then you energy switch it over. It's one of the ways Pikachu and Zekrom decks have been making sure that they're rolling by using Tapu Koko, and then having the option to energy switch an energy over. It's pretty big, right? It's not an option they have anymore. Now, the other thing to remember is that these rule changes are coming in kind of with Sun and Moon. There may well be reprints. So, it is important to note some of these cards may well be coming back, so we might be overreacting just a little bit. But they're losing Super Scoop Up. And Super Scoop Up's big! Super Scoop Up is your flip a coin if heads, put a card, a Pokemon, and all cards attached to it into your hand. And bearing in mind they're losing Ace Roller as well, you know, we've got Super Scoop Up as an alternative to Ace Roller, and they're not going to have that anymore. Now, there are a couple of, let's say, less relevant cards. They're losing Ancient Crystal, which only works on Regirock, Registeel, Regice, and Regigigas, reduces damage done by 30. None of those Pokemon are terribly relevant at the moment. If it worked on Regirock V, oh my goodness, I'd be hyped about this. But the reality is that Regirock V is Regirock V, not Regirock, so it's not going to actually work, so it becomes kind of irrelevant. And they're losing another 2 memory cards. Remember that Silvally GX has those memory cards whereby you can attach it to a Silvally GX and it changes the type of Silvally. And remember, it's not just the old Silvally, you've also got the new Silvally, which has just come out in Japan. It's coming in Cosmic Eclipse for us, which is phenomenal and seeing play in a huge amount of decks over in Japan. Very relevant that they're losing a couple more memory cards. Now, they're losing Psychic and Fighting when they go to our rotation, which is actually pretty huge because Psychic gets Mewtwo and Mew for weakness, and Fighting gets Pikachu and Zekrom for weakness. So they're actually really big ones to be losing. But they're also losing Electric Memory, and they're also losing Fire Memory. Now, these aren't as relevant, if I'm honest with you, because you're not hitting great weaknesses, but Electric Memory would allow you to use Electro Power to boost your damage. Okay, it's a fairly niche use, but it's a use nonetheless. Now, there are two final cards we need to mention that have got to be reprinted. And I mean they've got to be reprinted because the game doesn't really function properly without them. They're losing Switch. Japan is not going to have a copy of Switch. Switch has been legal since the base set came out. Switch is one of the very, very few cards that has always been in the standard format. So we're losing Switch, but it's got to come back. And the biggest issue, and this is a gigantic issue, they're losing Rare Candy. Rare Candy is being rotated out in Japan. Yeah, we got our latest print in Celestial Storm, and Japan's equivalent of that obviously got reprinted with the previous letter. So as it stands at the moment, Japan doesn't have Rare Candy. Now, I know the format is moving away from Evolution decks, and we keep getting new cards that really move us away from Evolution decks, but not having Rare Candy, yeah, this has got to be rectified. And I am absolutely 100% certain that in Japan's, maybe not in Tag All-Stars, but certainly when Sword and Shield comes around, I am absolutely certain that Rare Candy will be reprinted and we will be fine. Because if not, Japan's going to have a funky format. If I'm honest with you, very few of these cards are going to make a huge impact on the metagame, but Lillie is going to make a huge impact. Crushing Hammer's pretty big. Energy Switch, Super Scoop Up, and Switch are pretty gosh darn relevant. And then Rare Candy is gigantic. So yeah, Japan's rotated, and it's largely the same as us, but they got a few cards missing. It's going to be interesting to track how they deal with this. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's a new Japanese rotation, but I'd like to know what you think about this. Could you live in a world without Rare Candy? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have any Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.